Aloha, good morning. It's Chris Leatham. Well, actually, it's noon. I'm Chris Leatham. This is The Economy and You. And if you're watching the show today, our guest, we have a very special guest. Her name is Kristen Robinson. Kristen is another person that's heavily involved in the high-tech community. She focuses on social media marketing as well. We've had a couple of other guests that have talked a little bit about this topic. It's a very interesting area. And I think it's a great area to discuss because there's just so many facets to it. And I know a lot of young entrepreneurs are looking at this area for career opportunities. I know it's an area of interest to me as somebody who's a geek at heart. And so anyway, let's say hello to our guest. Hello, Kristen. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hi. So anyhow, you're a transplant.
Yes, I am.
Okay, that's great. We love transplants. You know, the thing about people who come from other places is they bring new paradigms. They also sort of inject new energy into Hawaii, which is great because you know, that's one of the things that that we talk about. You know, Ike in his State of Speech talked about how you know, companies, and I think he was quoting another business person, but he was talking about organizations need to be changing within at the same pace that things are changing on the outside. And if they don't, they fall behind, and of course that has negative consequences. And the same thing I think applies in government, but it, you know, it also applies to our state. We need to have new people sort of infusing new ideas and approaches to business in Hawaii. So welcome to the show.
Wow, thank you for having me.
Yes, so tell us a little bit about yourself.
Gosh, okay, so believe it or not, I transplanted here from North Carolina, so I love the weather. This is so awesome. There's no winter or fall or anything like that. And basically, I started my business about 5 years ago because I'm military, my husband is, and we move around a lot. So I needed to find a career where I could support him, but as well as have a career myself wherever I went. And so I really love my business. I love what it does for me.
Okay, so so you've been at this for 5 years, and you've done this. You did this started in South Carolina.
North Carolina.
North Carolina, and then you came to Hawaii. You came to Hawaii first, since from
Yes.
there. Okay, and how long have you been in Hawaii?
Gosh, it'll be a little over 2.5 years. So I've been here about 2.5 years already.
Okay, okay. So now you've already gotten some awards.
I have.
Okay.
Last year, I was named the Pacific Business News Woman to Watch Award. That was very, very exciting. 2012 National Association Professional Woman of the Year. And hopefully going for the Pacific Edge Awards coming up soon. So I'm really
excellent.
excited
Very
about
nice,
that.
very nice.
Yes.
Okay, so now what is your business? What is your business about? What do you do?
So Care Design, we specifically help entrepreneurs, specifically also military spouses as well, because I am one, about really how to make money online. I think what a lot of people get confused about is they're all caught up in the likes and the followers, but what they forget about is it is a marketing technique. Like at some point, all of this time you spend on it, all the things that you do, has to have some return on investment. And so that's really our specific purpose, is not only making sure you're out there and attracting your ideal client, but making sure that you're making money from it, because that's what your business is all about.
Yeah, you know, it's when you're not making money, it's called an avocation. Right? it's not a vocation, it's an avocation. It's like a hobby. And obviously there's a lot of military wives who probably find themselves in the same situation. They're looking for opportunities, you know, working at the PX and such as, you know, there's a limited number of job openings for that kind of work.
Right.
And it may not be something that somebody cares to do, but if you have a business that's mobile or is online, you can take it with you wherever you go.
Exactly.
Yes, yes, yeah. So, so you're kind of looking at all this, and so how is it that you kind of chose what you did? I mean, sort of what was the process that you went through?
I think that's the running joke in my business, is that I really didn't choose social media. My clients chose it for me. So when Care Design first started, we were like a marketing agency. So I'm certified in graphic design and web design. So we did websites, we did logos and things like that. And what ended up happening was my clients kept saying, well, this new thing about social media, can you teach us? And I'm like, well, I don't know, I'm not really ready for that. And the more my clients demanded on social media, the more we were like, well, maybe it's something we should look into. When I got to Hawaii, that was the moment I realized that I loved it. This is what I love to do. I really didn't want to do anything else. And when I got here to Hawaii, literally when I got here, about 2 months later, I shut down every single service that we had. So we only focus on social media. We don't do websites anymore. We don't do logos. We don't do promotional products. We literally are just a social media marketing company.
That's very interesting. So
Yes.
all the other accoutrements, building out the websites, building out lead pages, or developing these types of concepts, you've sort of abandoned that?
Basically, yes.
Wow.
I mean,
Okay.
we help people on the back end, but our primary purpose is to assist entrepreneurs in the process of setting it up, making sure that it's working, making sure that when they do get the traffic, it's not like a leaky bucket, just leads just pouring out of the bucket everywhere.
Right.
We want to make sure it's a nice, happy bucket, and they have clients coming in and they're doing, the purpose is to bring in people who appreciate and value what they do, so they could keep doing what they love to do. That's why they started their business.
Yeah.
And so that's our job, is to help them in that dream of doing that.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, okay. So now you clearly love what you do.
I do.
Yeah, you clearly love what you do. So if you were, if somebody was starting off with you, and now let's say somebody's had a bad experience, all right? They've gone in there, they've created some ads, and they did some boosting, boosting. They tried to get a bunch of likes. They've created a whole bunch of friends. They've even joined a whole bunch of different groups. I think you're limited to 50 groups or something like that. You've got some limit. So you've done all this stuff. So you've created all this stuff, and you're just like, I'm not getting anywhere. So now they call you. Are they calling you too late, or at this point?
No, definitely not. If anything, I think it's probably the right time, because they've experienced all the different ones, and basically they can tell me what works and what didn't, or what works the best for right now. So we would just go through an analysis and look and say, okay, well, what is working exactly the best? And let's focus on that and enhancing that. Or if you just feel like, I really want to work in this area, then it's like, okay, well, let's see if that area is going to work for you. So we're going to look at the whole thing on the table and examine what is the best method, what's really working, what's not, and then go from there and actually simplify the process. Because you really don't need to be everywhere all at once. Let's just simplify the process and make it more effective and efficient for the business owner.
Okay. Now, you like to focus on Facebook.
Primarily.
Primarily, yeah. Now, some people talk about doing social media marketing with LinkedIn. I guess you would think of LinkedIn as more of a business-to-business?
It could be.
Could be?
It could be.
Okay.
The way I look at social media is every social media platform is like a country. So they each have their own language, their own customs, their own way of doing things. And so if you want to think about Facebook, I hate to say it, let's think of it like China. Okay? It's the biggest one. Everyone's there.
The Chinese gave up their whole internal security system. They've just gone to Facebook now. Yeah. Okay.
So we'll just have to think of Facebook as China, and that's
All
really
right.
what it's like. It's the most populous. It has most of the people. It does all of those things. So when you think about it, you have to think about, like I said, the different language and customs. What you do on Twitter is probably not appropriate for Facebook. Whole different country, a whole different language,
Oh,
whole
very
different
interesting.
thing.
Okay.
So each one has its own things. Not to say that, like countries, we borrow some things from some countries, just like Facebook borrowed hashtags from Twitter.
That's right.
So you do different things, but just because you borrow it doesn't mean it's the appropriate thing.
Okay.
So you have to, if you look at it that way of a world of social media, everything's a different country, it makes things a lot simpler to understand.
Okay. That's a nice paradigm. That's a nice way of thinking about it. So when you talk about doing Facebook marketing, sort of like in the beginning, sort of like walk me through sort of the beginning stages with a client. Let's say you talk about content.
Well, the first thing we want to even decide is even if they are ready for social media. Some people want to do it and they're just not ready.
Okay.
So that's the first step we even take, is saying, okay, is this even perfect for you? And the big thing about that is making sure, are you willing to give free information? Are you willing to share the personal side of yourself? Some people don't want to do that. And that's when we're like, okay, you know what? Let's wait a couple months until you have time to digest this, and then we'll go back and see if you're ready. So the first thing we even decide is, are you ready?
Because not everybody is ready. Okay, that's a very interesting point. That's a good point. Not everybody's in that happy spot, right?
No.
Where they're ready to do this kind of work.
Right.
Okay, all right. Now, who sort of in general, and what I'm just sort of asking for a generality, who is a good prospect?
Oh man, a good prospect is someone who knows that they need to use social media,
Okay.
but really doesn't have a clue on what to do.
Okay.
Because that allows me to do what I'm best at and lead the direction and lead the campaign. And they trust me. So
Okay.
they know they need it. They know they need it. It's in their face. They know that their clients are there, but they're not sure what to do.
We have so many small businesses in Hawaii, and we have, everything from dress shops to restaurant. I mean, we've got loads of restaurants in Hawaii. I think the number exceeds 6,000 restaurants throughout the state of Hawaii. And, we've got all kinds of knickknack stores and ethnic stores, everything from shops that sell stuff from India to Indonesia to, we have furniture stores, and we have all these different types of, what I would consider retail shops. Are retail businesses good customers for you?
Not exactly, because I work more with service-based businesses.
Okay.
But if anything, my first client was a jewelry maker, so if that explains anything a lot. But I have found that a lot of people, speaking of shops, a lot of those shops don't think social media is for them. They're like, oh, it's just for the people who are online and want to reach the whole world. Believe it or not, on Facebook ads or any of the advertising, you can reach people in a 50-mile radius from your shop and let them know that you're having a sale right now. I mean, it's so open to just any type of business, whether you have a brick and mortar or you are online, or maybe you're a service but you don't go outside of a certain area. Social media has really come a long way in the last couple of years to be accommodating to all types of businesses.
So, okay, so that actually could be for a retail shop.
Yes, of course.
Okay, but it could also be for a business that's, say, involved in other, can you give me some examples of some other service-oriented businesses that have utilized social media?
I think the most, I don't want to say the weirdest, but the one outside of the box that I served was a mosquito control company.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
In North Carolina, they only do mosquitoes. They're not a pest control company. They only come and service your property for mosquitoes. And that was, a lot of fun.
See, I didn't know mosquitoes did social media. Okay, all right.
And it was tons of fun because he's a service-based business. He can only go so far outside the radius. And, it was really interesting because we found that most of his clients were on Facebook. They were women, because women are the ones who make the appointments. They tended to be about 25 to 45, and those are the women that were looking on Facebook. And believe it or not, they were asking friends, like, well, what do you do about this mosquito? And because he had a presence, and his clients love to share his content, love to do things, especially now at this time of the year in North Carolina, we call this the prepping for mosquito time. You have to start dumping out your buckets and all that stuff. But that's how we started really getting a great boost of using Facebook, and that was about maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, okay. So if somebody has a business that's a little bit different, so maybe there's opportunities for them as well.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. But the idea is that you can actually target your advertising in the social media space at a geographical demographic.
Yes.
Like I can pick an area and say, okay, the zip code or this targeted area, these are the people I want to reach out to.
Exactly. You can say 10-mile radius, I think it's 10, 25, and 50 outside of a certain city.
Okay.
So if you want to say, okay, you know what, I only want to target like 50 miles outside of Honolulu, that's as far as I want to go, you can target people like that. You can even say the people who are most likely to move.
Oh, okay. All right, excellent. Well, we're going to come back and talk a little bit more about this. And I think this is great that we're talking about the social media space and sort of giving people a little bit of enlightenment about the audience that they can reach. And we're going to go to commercial. This is Chris Leatham. The Economy and You is the name of the show, and we'll be right back. Thank you.
Aloha, I'm Hunter Hevelin, host of Sustainable Hawaii here at ThinkTech Hawaii. You can tune in every week on Thursday at 2 p.m. to see interviews with sustainability professionals from around the state and even further abroad, learning about activities with water management, food security, waste management, and a whole host of other fascinating opportunities to get engaged with making a greener island. So if you're interested in making the transition from consuming individuals to communities of producers, check us out every Thursday.
Hi, I'm Jay Fidel. That's Ted Ralston. Ted is the host of Where the Road Leads. It shows every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. It's about technology. It's about how people collaborating and solve problems with modern technology. It's where the road leads. We all know that. We should all be listening. Join us there, 4 to 5 p.m. every Friday. Now, what about that do you agree with?
All of it.
I knew he'd say that. Aloha. Say aloha.
Aloha.
Good.
Hi, welcome back. I'm Chris Leatham. The show's called The Economy and You with ThinkTech Hawaii, and our guest today is Kristen Robinson, and she's with KR Design. She's a social media marketing company here in Honolulu. And we're just sort of talking a little bit about some of the weird and wonderful things with respect to social media. So, hey, Kristen. We're talking about how we can sort of target a demographic, but let's also talk about other aspects of who else can we target? What other means or mechanisms do we have to filter our advertising message?
Well, I think the first thing we need to acknowledge is that, unfortunately, you're going to have to, I think it's moving in the direction of social media advertising. We are moving in that direction. And the reason is because people like me, or us, entrepreneurs, are very excited about that because we can specifically target exactly who we want. I know a lot of people that scares them because you can, reaching out to specific demographics, like you said, you can do organic. And organic, I mean just posting on Facebook and things like that.
Yeah.
But with the demand of advertising of people like us who want to reach specific people at certain times,
right?
That's making the organic kind of decrease. Because, think about it from Facebook's point of view. Would you rather have someone who wants to pay you to reach a certain target and they know exactly who they want, or someone who's just going to post and maybe that information isn't quite exciting or relevant and it clogs up their customers' newsfeed? Who would you rather have? And so that is what the demand is going for. And so you're going to see that trend continue as the years go on.
Okay, all right. So I can target by demographic or by location, but I can target by age?
Yes.
Gender?
Yes.
I can target by interests?
Yes.
Behaviors?
Yes.
Wow.
So,
scary.
So let's tackle that really quickly. So interest,
right.
Believe it or not, this is my number one method. Interest, meaning you can target other people's Facebook pages. Now, the thing is, not everyone's Facebook page can be targeted. My goodness. And it's not something that they do specific wizard thing on their Facebook page. It's just a glitch in Facebook that just happened years ago. And now you really can't target those pages. And then behaviors, meaning, the behaviors of people you want to target. Like, do you want to target women that are pregnant? People that are most likely to move? People that are most likely to buy?
How does Facebook know whether a woman is pregnant or not? Come on.
Okay, you want to know the scary part of all this?
Yeah, okay, tell me the scary part.
We tell Facebook this.
Oh, okay.
We tell them. We say, hey, life announcement, I'm pregnant. Or, hey, I'm getting ready to have a baby. Our anniversary is coming up. Everyone goes, well, how does Facebook know all this? Because we tell them.
Oh.
Unfortunately, we give them all the information they need so business owners who are smart like us can go in and say, I want an ad that targets women who are pregnant to 25 to 44 that are outside of Honolulu within 50 miles and are more likely to move. That's who I want to show my ad to. And Facebook will say, okay, great. Out of all the information we get from these people, these are the people that need to see your ad.
Wow. So from a marketing perspective, that's awesome.
Exactly.
But from a consumer perspective, we're like,
scary.
wait a minute. You're telling me more than how is it that, I feel like, I'm sort of like being put upon a bit.
Exactly.
So interesting. Okay, so we can really do a lot of very granular marketing or targeting of our audience and this is in Facebook. We're talking about Facebook specifically.
Yes.
Now, other platforms provide some level of granularity as well.
Yes. Twitter's my favorite, so I have to be a little biased. Twitter,
Well,
Pinterest.
being biased is okay. You can be a little biased. It's all right. Yeah.
Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube, they all have advertising platforms. I haven't really looked at YouTube to be specifically, but Pinterest and Twitter I've looked at and I'm studying. I'm studying. And I have found Facebook is right now the most specific one. Twitter and Pinterest aren't that specific.
Okay.
You can't say, oh, I want people in this area, this age, that do this and do this. It's not as, Pinterest is actually more general than Twitter. And so I think that's why everyone's rushing to Facebook ads because, down to, like I said, down to a woman who's 25 to 44 pregnant and moving 50 miles outside of Honolulu, that's pretty specific.
Yes, it is.
And then Twitter, you just don't get that type of specificity. You don't.
Okay. But Twitter, Twitter is a very active medium.
It is.
There's a lot of people who are twittering, they're sort of microblogging and saying all sorts of things about going on in their lives and things like that. And hashtags are the primary mechanism by which people or ads are targeted through Twitter?
No, when you're doing Twitter ads, it's like Facebook. You can target other Twitter accounts. You can target search terms, but not specifically target a hashtag.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
All
a
right.
little different.
Okay, okay. So if you're, let's talk about the viability of social media marketing. Because if I'm a business person and I've tried this and I spend a lot of money and I don't really understand how you're tracking it, so how do you convince somebody that this is a very quantifiable, you can do testing, you can try different things? I think I went to your seminar and you were talking about if you can afford a cup of
Starbucks latte every day.
Starbucks latte, you can afford to do social media marketing. So you don't need to have a huge budget.
No, that's a big misconception. People think I need $200. No, if you can afford to go to Starbucks every day, I know for some of you, giving up your daily Starbucks latte is a huge sacrifice. But if you can do it for 30 days, then yes, you can do Facebook ads.
Okay, excellent. Okay. Let's talk about when you're doing this, sort of what kind of content do you want to be creating? What kind of content does a business want to be developing to get started in doing Facebook marketing?
Just in general, Facebook ads, whatever it may be, just social media in general, there's two types of, it's not really two types. Well, types of content you want to use are helpful information to solve their pain point. Okay?
What's a pain point?
Good question. So
Yes.
The pain point. Each of our clients, we have a service or product that solves a client's problem or pain, depending on health or whatever industry you do. And the thing is that when you're doing your content, you want to make sure you're writing something, writing an article, video, whatever it is, that solves that pain that they're having. So for instance, if you do jewelry, I know this sounds weird, the pain point is, depending on what your ideal client is, I'm just going to go with one of my clients that's actually here in Hawaii. Her jewelry solves the pain point of professional women who want to look good every time they step out the house.
Okay.
They have to look good. There's a certain expectation of them when they leave the house because they're professional women. They're CEOs, real estate agents, whatever it may be. And her jewelry solves that point. It's a very unique. It's one of a kind. When she makes it, you're the only one who has it. So when they step out of the house with her jewelry on, that solves that problem. Like, I'm unique. Here's
So she goes to a party and she's wearing the same dress as another woman, but she's got on different costumes.
Yes, and she can only make one of that thing. So
Yes.
someone might have the same color.
Yes.
The beads might be different. It may be a similar necklace. But when you look at them, they're totally two different pieces.
Okay.
You're the only one who has it, and you have that uniqueness about you.
Okay. Okay.
That is what you need to post.
All right. Okay. So now I have a friend of mine that has a business where he comes in and he helps reorganize people's homes.
Ooh.
Okay. So what would be a kind of a pain point for them maybe to talk about? Let's maybe
Brainstorm hot seat.
brainstorm hot seat. Yeah. So I've got a business where I come in and I help reorganize closets, help people put away stuff. You know, maybe family members passed away and they need to figure out how to sort stuff like that, right? Okay. So we would come up with maybe a list of solutions, like steps to go through.
Exactly. So there's might be different pain points because some people want their house organized because they don't want to do it.
Okay.
That would be one pain point.
Yes.
Maybe some people want to organize their home because maybe they're allergic to certain things and they need the dust and they want to, it's for health issues.
Okay.
Another reason why they might want to reorganize is maybe because children. Your children get into certain things and you're on the go a lot and you just need to be organized for your family's sake, not really your sake, your family's sake. So he would have to look at the different pain points of why clients ask him to do what he does. And that would be the content that he puts on social media. Hey, 3 tips on how to organize your closet in 5 minutes. That would be something helpful I'd like to know.
Yeah.
So if you write no. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you have free training. It says 5 steps to start your own business from any location. Click here.
Exactly. So whenever you make an image this is for my Facebook ad, the best one I had. And if you notice, for military spouses, it's that one pain point. We're like, we don't know how to start. We don't know how to do anything. And so the kitchen showed, that pain point. Boxes are moving and all those different things.
Okay. So when you talk about a pain point, it could you want to use imagery as well.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Very good.
It grabs the attention very quickly.
Now, do you do something called split testing? Do you try to, or what do you call A/B testing or split testing?
I do.
Okay, all right, excellent.
Facebook makes it easy when you do Facebook ads to do the split testing. And one thing about Facebook that I love is you will know very quickly if your ad is working or not. Within 24 to 72 hours, if it's not working, shut it off.
Okay.
Just stop it. Don't waste any more money. And that's why I tell people about $5 to $10 per day, because you don't want to waste a lot of money.
Okay, very good. Do we need to go to commercial? Okay, well, we're going to come right back. I think this is like a commercial break. We usually do a commercial about this time, so we're going to go to commercial. This is Chris Leatham. The show's called The Economy and You. Our guest today is Kristen Robinson, and we'll be right back. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sachiko Slomov. I'm the floor manager of ThinkTech Hawaii here. You can join us on the air every weekday from 1 to 5 or off the air at thinktechhawaii.com. We stream all of our videos and all of our amazing shows at thinktechhawaii.com or on our Ustream channel. You can also check us out on Twitter at ThinkTechHI or Instagram at ThinkTechHI also. I'll be listening and I hope to see you there. Thanks.
Awesome. Hi, I'm Chris Leatham. This is The Economy and You. Welcome back. Our guest today is Kristen Robinson. She's from KR Design. We're talking about social media marketing in the wonderful world of Facebook advertising. And it's really turning out to be an interesting show. Thank you for being on the show, Kristen.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, so we're talking about sort of how to, when we're approaching the idea of building out a social media ad or a Facebook ad and hitting on pain points. Mm-hmm. Okay, you also talked a little bit about sort of when we talked about during your seminar, you talked about, well, finding pain points and having a discussion. What things do people talk about at night?
Yes.
We call that pillow talk? Is that what we call that?
Nighttime talk.
Nighttime talk? Okay, not pillow talk. Okay. So tell us a little more about that concept.
So what a lot of businesses I find, one of the biggest mistakes they make is they write the content, but they write it from their words, which, no, unfortunately, and not trying to hurt your feelings, but if I don't know what you're talking about, I'm not going to buy.
Or if I can't relate to what you're talking about.
Right, I'm not going to buy. I feel like it's not for me.
Uh-huh.
And so nighttime talk, is what we call it, is what does the person you want to serve, the person you want to help, what do they say at night, either to themselves or their partner, or late at night when they're doing, the late night conversation with their friends? Uh-huh. What is the words that they're saying? Because, for instance, you might say, well, just going with the business, going back to the jewelry example, uh-huh. You might say, well, you know what? My jewelry's one of a kind, and it's unique, and you'll be the only one who wears it, and that's what you're saying.
Right.
But your client at night's probably going, man, I have that interview tomorrow. What piece of jewelry goes with that, with that dress that'll make me just stand out?
Well, ask your husband. He'll tell you everything you need to know. Always go to your husband for fashion advice.
And that's probably what she's laying in bed thinking about. She's not thinking about being the only one with it. She's thinking about standing out. And
yes.
That's two completely different things.
That's right. It's kind of great. You watch professional couples, and it's interesting sort of the interplay because they'll help each other get dressed in the morning. Well, does this belt go with these shoes? And then, it's like, how do you want to look for the day, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah, that's awesome. So if you're doing an ad, let's say, and let's go back to my example of the guy, the declutter business or organizing business. Mm-hmm. And so you had a great shot of the boxes, mm-hmm. Sort of the clutter mess, because I was in the Marine Corps. I know what that lifestyle is like. You're always moving. Mm-hmm. And so when you talk about pain points, you're talking about maybe a washing machine, clothes are piled up, dirty sneakers, things are sort of hanging on lines over chairs.
Exactly, or maybe a kid reaching for something they're not supposed to because it's in the wrong place.
Ah.
Like you said, laundry everywhere. There's maybe a thing of laundry here, here, and here, and it's like, whoa. Or my favorite, and women, we can all relate to this. You have a closet and there's stuff piled on everything in the closet. So if you open it, it just looks like everything's gonna fall at you.
Ah, yes.
Or maybe just clothes falling, maybe clothes just hanging off someone. There's tons of images that you can find on the internet that you can use.
Okay, so it's not that hard. It's not that difficult to actually come up with ideas to develop a marketing, a social media marketing campaign.
Yeah, and the best secret for me that has worked really, really well is mm-hmm. the people that I want to target.
Yes.
I look for them in my personal network and I call them and just say, hey, can I talk to you for about 30 minutes? And really just ask them what it is that they're looking for, what is it? And that helps me give me a really good idea of what to write, what type of content to put out there, and what type of pictures to look for.
Okay. So now, let's say somebody says, okay, I have an idea for an ad. Okay, now I kind of have some pictures, I have some content, I have my five ways of solving my problem, or 3 ways to solve my problem. Now what?
Well, when you have your image, you have your ad copy, I think the number one thing is make sure you know who your audience is.
Okay.
That's probably where you need to start. I mean, once you get all that, that's great, but the audience is the number one mistake business owners make on Facebook ads.
Okay.
The number one by far, because it doesn't do you any good if you have a great image, great copy in your ad, and it's shown to the wrong people. That's just the worst thing in the world.
Of course, that means you're not going to get a return on your investment either.
No.
Yeah.
So make sure you're very clear on your audience. I tell people, be as specific as possible. If you're doing business to business and you're like, oh, I'm going to target entrepreneurs, that's not good enough.
So how about
What
using your existing email marketing list of emails of your existing clients?
That's a very advanced technique, and that's a very good one.
Okay.
You can, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm saying this. People are going to be so shocked. So you can take your email
Well, shock
list.
them.
You can take your existing email list, but it needs to be in a .csv file.
Okay.
Like Excel, you just .csv, and upload it to Facebook. But here's the key. Facebook is going to look at those, and it's going to do a database match of those emails.
Oh.
So those emails have to match exactly what's in the Facebook database. If
Because
it's not,
when you set up an email or a Facebook account, you set it up with your email.
exactly.
Aha.
So they do a database match. And
Okay.
here's what happens to some people who have a really big list. Sometimes it doesn't work out because Facebook requires you to do, it has to match at least 100 to get a good sample size.
Okay, you need at least
So
100.
100 to match. So if 100 emails do not match in their database to your list, that advanced technique won't work.
Okay.
It will not work.
But let's say you do. Okay, then what?
So when you do that, my favorite thing to do is to create a lookalike audience. So you upload it, and then you say, hey, Facebook, create a lookalike audience. And the coolest part is, Facebook says, okay, out of the 100 minimum that we've matched, or whatever X number it is, here are, and I've always gotten 1 million or more people. And it says, here's 1 million people that we think are going to be great candidates for you because it matches the exact characteristics, demographics, all of those things of the 100 people that we've matched.
Okay, but if you do that in Hawaii, you get everybody. If you get 1 million people in Hawaii, you got everybody. You're done.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So, but let's say you don't want the 1 million people. Can you then pare that down?
Yes, so once you make your ad and you name that as a custom audience, you can narrow that down back to what we said, behaviors and interest. So you can say, okay, out of those 1 million people, who really like these 3 Facebook pages? What age are they? I only want these ages. I only want women. I only want the ones that are pregnant. So it gives you a good sample size to start with.
Okay.
But then you can really, really narrow it down to the people you want to target.
Okay, so you can take your lookalike audience, which is 1 million people. Huge. Okay.
Right.
But you can now pare that down into a smaller list.
Yes.
And maybe even segment that audience out for different marketing campaigns as well?
Definitely. So what
how awesome is that?
Exactly. I did the same
wow,
thing.
amazing.
I got 2 million people, so I want military spouses, obviously. So Facebook said, okay, great, we found 2 million. And I'm like, I really don't want these 2 million. I want military spouses who like these 4 Facebook pages who are 25 to 45, who are women, married, live in the U.S.
And they're all left-handed.
I know, right? And Facebook was able to say, oh, well, out of all of those people, here's about 300,000. And I'm like, great, that's all I want. There you go.
Okay, and so now you put up your ad. Okay, you use the Power Editor. Are you a big Power Editor fan?
Yes, I am.
Which means you have to install Google Chrome.
No, you can get it anywhere.
Oh, I thought you had Power Editor only worked with Chrome. No?
It works with any browser.
All right, very good. Okay, excellent. Okay, so you use the Power Editor tool.
Yes, I do.
And it's not so easy to find now. How do you find the Power Editor tool?
Facebook.com/ads/manage/power tool.
Aha. Okay, that's where it's located. It's not on my little.
It's not. You need to
They
bookmark
dropped
it.
it off. Yes. Well, that's great. You know, this has been an interesting show, and I think it's covered a lot of key component pieces of social media marketing. So if people wanted to get a hold of you and talk to you further, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
The best way right now is you can go to the link discoverysessionwithkristen.com, And there, you just fill out a simple application. You schedule time to talk with me, and it's a one-on-one conversation that I have with people that I can really just speak with. I have a couple spots open because it is the end of the month. But if anyone would like to talk to me, I would love to talk to them specifically about what they're doing, what they want to do, and how that works for them.
It's discovery session with Kristen.com.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that you kept that URL really short.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being on the show today, Kristen.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed
It was a great show, and I think it was good for people out there to find out more about what Kristen's doing. Thank you for watching the show today. I'm Chris Leatham. The show's called The Economy and You. Sometimes I think I want to call it The New Economy and You because we keep talking about all sort of weird and wonderful stuff that's happening in the high-tech community. But I really enjoyed doing the show, and I look forward to seeing everybody out there again next week, Wednesday at noon. This is The Economy and You, and I'm Chris Leatham. Thank you for watching.